We've all heard the advice, haven't we? That deceptively simple rule of dating. If he's not calling you, he's just not that interested. It's repeated so often that we've accepted it as gospel. But what if I told you that this advice isn't just wrong? It's a dangerous oversimplification that's causing you immense pain. A man's silence is a universe of complexity, and if you don't learn to navigate it, you'll be forever lost in a cycle of misinterpretation and heartache. After years of guiding women through the confusing maze of unanswered texts and sudden disappearances, I had a revelation that truly shook me. The problem isn't that women are incapable of reading signs. The tragedy is that we've been taught to read them all wrong. From a young age, we're programmed with a set of false beliefs. We're told that true love means constant communication. We're taught that if a man genuinely cares, he'll text you every single day, without fail. Conditioned by these romantic fallacies, we begin to see every pause as a sign of fading interest, every delayed reply as a personal rejection, and every quiet moment as proof that something is terribly wrong. Today, we're going to dismantle this confusion for good. A man's silence isn't some random, unexplainable event. It's a direct reflection of his inner world. And by the end of our time together, you will know with absolute clarity how to respond when he goes quiet, without sacrificing your sanity, your inner peace, or your personal power. Now, before you think, I've heard all this before, let me ask you a question. Be honest with yourself. The last time a man you cared about went quiet for just 2 days, were you truly able to keep your cool? Did you manage to go about your day without obsessively checking your phone, your heart leaping at every notification? Did you stop your mind from spiraling into a vortex of worst-case scenarios? If the answer is no, then I urge you to stay with me, because what we're about to uncover will change everything for you. The psychologist Carl Jung famously said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." This is our starting point. The ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers a powerful framework for interpreting his distance without losing yourself in the process. And let's be clear about what Stoicism is. It's not about becoming cold, detached, or emotionless. It's about finding your unshakable center and holding on to it, even when the world around you is in chaos. Here's a truth that might be difficult to hear, but it's essential. Sometimes, a man's silence is an unconscious test. He pulls away to see how you'll react. This isn't always a malicious or calculated act, but it is a deeply ingrained behavioral pattern. And the painful reality is that, most of the time, it works. Have you ever found yourself in this exact situation? He goes quiet for days, and your anxiety skyrockets. You break the silence with a flood of messages. "Hey, how are you? Is everything okay? I haven't heard from you in a while." You're asking if he's all right, trying to find a logical reason for his absence, perhaps even making excuses for him. When you do this, you're handing him exactly what his subconscious was looking for: confirmation that you are emotionally dependent on his attention. What truly breaks my heart is seeing brilliant, successful, and otherwise powerful women become completely helpless in the face of a man's silence. I've seen women who run companies, raise children single-handedly, and conquer incredible challenges crumble into insecure versions of themselves simply because a text message went unanswered. When a man pulls back, he's subconsciously checking to see if you'll chase him, to see if your world will grind to a halt in his absence. Your desperate reaction becomes an involuntary psychological experiment, proving to him the immense power he holds over your emotional state. And here's the critical insight: Every time you frantically react to his silence, you are ceding a power that he hasn't earned. You are teaching him that he can control your happiness without even being present. This is where the transformation begins. Stoicism teaches us that our true worth is not measured by who is calling us, but by our ability to remain balanced and centered when no one is. The woman who can maintain her composure when he goes silent, who continues to live her life with joy and purpose, refusing to sacrifice her energy to his absence, she is the one who is truly powerful. So, what happens when a woman masters this art of non-reaction? When the man eventually returns, and believe me, he almost always does, he doesn't find the same woman he left behind. He doesn't find someone waiting anxiously by the phone. Instead, he finds a woman who has moved forward. A woman who has been living, working, creating, and connecting with her world. The shift in her energy is palpable, and he feels it instantly. I want you to reflect on this. Have you ever been in this position, trying to appear nonchalant on the outside while you were crumbling on the inside? That internal conflict is the precise point where we surrender our power. Now, let's explore a truth that might sting at first, but will ultimately set you free. Sometimes, his silence has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's not a punishment or a manipulation. He might simply be consumed by his own world, his goals, his ambitions, his personal struggles. He's making himself a priority, and in many situations, that's exactly what he should be doing. Men often possess a skill for compartmentalization that can be baffling to women. When they are laser-focused on a work project, a family crisis, or a personal challenge, their relationship can temporarily move to the back burner. This doesn't mean they've stopped caring. It's simply how they are wired to process stress and focus their energy. It can be incredibly frustrating for you because you have time for him. You think about him. You find moments in your day to send a quick text, to ask how he is, to maintain that thread of connection. Meanwhile, he appears completely detached. This is where a lie, faltering realization can occur. His silence is a powerful, cosmic invitation to return to yourself. The universe is whispering, he's busy building his world. Now is the time to build yours. Ask yourself these uncomfortable questions. When was the last time you went an entire day without your mood being dictated by whether he texted you? When were you so engrossed in your own passions and projects that you genuinely forgot to check if he'd reached out? When did you last wake up filled with excitement for your day, not for a message you hoped to receive from him? These questions can be unsettling because they expose how much of our emotional well-being we have outsourced to others. They reveal a painful truth, that our daily happiness often depends more on the attention we receive than the attention we give to ourselves. But you are not born to be a satellite in someone else's orbit. You are your own universe. You have goals to achieve, dreams to chase, a life to build, and experiences to savor. So, while he is in his world, you must fully inhabit yours. While he is silent, you must find your own voice. As he pulls away, you must draw closer to yourself. When you genuinely embody this, something magical happens. When you shift your focus to your own vibrant life, his return will be met with a completely different energy. He won't find a woman in waiting, but a woman who is busy, engaged, and thriving. A woman with stories to tell, projects to share, and an interesting life that doesn't revolve around him. He will feel this difference on a primal level. The energy of a woman who is sufficiently happy is intoxicatingly different from the energy of a woman who needs external validation to feel whole. Now, we must bravely face the possibility that everyone fears. Yes, Sometimes silence does mean he's lost interest. It's a painful pill to swallow, but it's the truth. The faster you can accept this reality instead of fighting it, the sooner you will liberate yourself from a dream that is only draining your spirit. After witnessing countless women cling to men who showed zero effort, I learned a vital lesson. The real enemy isn't the loss of the man. It's the addiction to his potential. It's the attachment to the idea of what could be, rather than the reality of what is. What separates the woman who suffers for years over a man who doesn't value her from the woman who quickly sets herself free? The second woman understands a profound truth. If a man walks away, it's only to make space for someone better to walk in. She doesn't waste her precious energy trying to convince someone to love her. She doesn't burn herself out trying to prove her worth to someone who is blind to it. She knows, deep in her soul, that true love doesn't require begging, chasing, or compromising her essence just to hold someone's attention. And here's a controversial truth you need to hear. A man who disappears without a word, who loses interest without a valid reason, and who lacks the basic respect to communicate his feelings, is, in fact, doing you a massive favor. He is showing you exactly who he is, right now, before you invest any more of your time, hope, and energy. He is giving you a clear report on his communication skills, his emotional maturity, and his level of respect for you. And if those are all lacking, is that really a foundation upon which you want to build a future? The universe has mysterious ways of protecting us, and sometimes that protection arrives in the form of silence. Sometimes the best answer you can receive is no answer at all, because it tells you everything you need to know. When you shift your perspective, his disinterest is no longer a personal failure. It becomes a valuable piece of data. You stop asking, "What did I do wrong?" and start asking, "What does this behavior tell me about him?" However, we can't ignore the societal conditioning that many men face. They are often raised in environments where expressing vulnerability is seen as a weakness. They're taught that talking about feelings is women's work, and that they must solve their problems alone. Consequently, when they feel emotionally overwhelmed, their default response is to withdraw, to process things internally, and to temporarily disconnect. This is where you must apply the wisdom of Stoicism. Do not carry burdens that are not yours to bear. His internal battles, his communication deficits, and his coping mechanisms are his responsibility, not yours. You are not obligated to interpret his every action as a reflection of your worth. He might be battling anxiety and not know how to articulate it. He could be wrestling with depression and not want to burden you with his low energy. He may be facing financial instability and feel inadequate until he resolves it. But, and this is the crucial distinction, understanding his reasons does not obligate you to tolerate the behavior indefinitely. Empathy is not a blank check for poor communication. You can understand why someone acts a certain way and still decide that their behavior is not compatible with your needs in a relationship. This is your responsibility to decide what you are willing to accept. This brings us to the most transformative point of all. Instead of viewing his silence as an insult or a cue to try harder, see it for what it truly is: a perfect opportunity to come home to yourself. It's a space to grow, to flourish, and to focus on your own journey. What if, instead of asking, "Why isn't he calling me?" you asked, "What can I create in this space he has given me?" What if you used this time to send loving messages to yourself, to reconnect with the friends you've neglected, to finish that online course you started, to finally launch that project you've been dreaming about? to rediscover the hobbies that once brought you so much joy. True power isn't found in controlling others' actions. It's found in mastering your own reactions. While he is lost in his silence, you can be found in your strength. While he is absent, you can become more present in your own life than ever before. I've seen women use these moments as a catalyst for incredible transformation, launching businesses, finishing degrees, and rediscovering their passions. When a woman undergoes this metamorphosis, the dynamic shifts entirely. When he returns, he finds a woman who is not just surviving, but thriving. You are no longer the one waiting. You are the one choosing. And here's a secret very few understand. Men are magnetically drawn to women who have a rich, fulfilling life that doesn't depend on them. They are drawn to women who don't need a man to feel complete, but want a man to share their already complete life with. This energy, born from fullness rather than need, is irresistible. His silence strips away all the noise and leaves you with one defining question. When he doesn't answer, who are you? This question is piercing, but necessary, because it reveals exactly where you've placed your power. Do you dissolve? Do you feel empty? Do you spiral into self-doubt, becoming anxious and needy? Or do you meet a woman who is centered, whole, and strong on her own? Your answer to this question determines everything: the quality of the relationships you attract, and whether your power is authentic or borrowed. This is the fundamental difference between a woman who lives on the validation of others and a woman who lives from her own core. The first withers in silence, the second blossoms in solitude, and the truth about these self-possessed women is that they rarely experience prolonged silences. Men can sense, on an intuitive level, that these women don't desperately need their attention. They know that her world won't crumble if they don't call. They feel that she has a full, vibrant life outside of the relationship, and that energy is magnetic. Let me be clear, this journey isn't easy. It requires real inner work. It demands that you confront your deepest insecurities, your fears, and your patterns of emotional dependency. It requires you to build a genuine, loving relationship with yourself first. Women often ask me, but how do I stop caring if he calls? And my answer is always the same. The goal isn't to stop caring about him. It's to start caring more about your own inner peace. The goal is to build a life so interesting, so rich, and so meaningful to you, that his silence is no longer a devastating blow. It's to have so many sources of joy and fulfillment that the absence of one person cannot leave you empty. When a woman achieves this, everything changes. Not just her romantic relationships, but her friendships, her career, and most importantly, her relationship with herself. The same inner strength that allows you to remain centered during his silence is the same strength that empowers you to negotiate a raise at work, set healthy boundaries with your family, and choose friends who truly nourish your soul. So now that you understand the complex truths behind his silence, the real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Because understanding is just the first step. Knowledge without application is merely entertainment. True transformation happens when you change your response. Here is my challenge to you. The next time he goes quiet, before you send that innocent text, before your mind starts writing stories, I want you to pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what do I need right now? Not what you need from him, but what you need for yourself. Is it peace, a workout, a conversation with a good friend, time to focus on your project? Then, I want you to give that to yourself. Take responsibility for meeting your own needs. This is where the magic happens. When you start treating yourself with the love and respect you deserve, you will naturally begin to attract people who treat you the same way. His silence is not a summons for you to chase him. It is an opportunity for you to reclaim yourself. When you can stay centered in his absence, when you can remain focused on your own life when he disappears, you are building something no one can ever take away from you. Your personal, unshakable power. And I want you to understand, this power isn't just about attracting a man. It's about living a better life. It's about being able to sleep soundly at night and wake up excited for the day ahead, making decisions from a place of clarity, not fear. Because it's one thing to mentally know you shouldn't chase him. It's another thing entirely to feel in your bones that you deserve a man who shows up for you, who communicates with you, and who never leaves you guessing about his intentions. The most freeing part of this entire journey. When you stop chasing the man who isn't calling you, you finally make space for the man who will. Imagine, for a moment, that his silence isn't a rejection but an invitation. What if it's an opportunity for you to grow, to turn your focus back to your own path, your projects, your very essence? This single shift in perspective is the key that unlocks everything. It's about learning to see his silence not as an absence, but as a space for you to expand. His distance isn't a punishment, it's a stage for your own growth. So, what if you stopped asking, "Why isn't he calling me?" and started asking, "What magnificent thing can I create while he's gone?" What if, instead of anxiously waiting for a message from him, you focused on sending loving messages to yourself? What if you truly used this time to pour energy back into your own life? To finally call those friends you've been meaning to reconnect with, to re-enroll in that course you left halfway, to dust off that passion project you postponed? What if you went back to the gym not to look good for him, but to feel strong for you? What if you lost yourself in books and rediscovered the hobbies that once made your soul sing? Here's a fundamental truth. Real power doesn't come from controlling another person's actions. It comes from mastering your own reactions. While he is lost in his silence, you have the chance to become a stronger, more vibrant, more interesting version of yourself. While he is absent, you can learn to become more profoundly present in your own life. I have seen it happen time and time again. I've witnessed women who took a man's silence and turned it into a pivotal turning point that completely revolutionized their lives. Women who finally started their own businesses, who went back to school to finish their degrees, who rebuilt cherished friendships and rediscovered the passions they had sacrificed at the altar of a relationship. And here is what happens when a woman undergoes this kind of transformation in his absence. When that man eventually comes back, and they almost always do, he doesn't find the person he left behind. He doesn't find a woman waiting anxiously, her life on pause. He finds a woman who is stronger, more centered, and more complete. You are no longer the one waiting by the phone. You are the one choosing who deserves a place in your extraordinary life. This leads us to a truth that very few people truly grasp. Men are deeply and magnetically attracted to women who have a rich, fulfilling life of their own. They are drawn to women who don't need a man to complete them, but genuinely want a man to share their already joyful existence with. They are captivated by women who aren't desperately needy, but are open to forming a sincere, authentic connection. This may be the most important point of all. Silence has a way of stripping away all the distractions. It leaves you alone with yourself, and in that quiet space, a fundamental question arises, a question that defines everything. When he doesn't answer, who are you? This question can feel brutal, but it is absolutely necessary because it illuminates exactly where your power lies and where you've been giving it away. When he doesn't text back, do you disappear? Do you feel a hollow void open up inside you? Do you immediately start questioning your worth, spiraling into a vortex of anxiety, insecurity, and neediness? Or, in that silence, do you meet a woman who is unshakably strong in herself, firmly centered, and beautifully complete? The answer to this question determines the entire trajectory of your love life. It dictates how men see you, the kind of relationships you attract, and whether you are operating from a place of real, authentic power or leaning on a borrowed sense of validation. This is the ultimate difference between the woman who lives on crumbs of male attention and the woman who thrives from her own inner core. The first woman collapses in the face of silence. The second one blossoms in solitude. And here's the secret about these self-possessed women. They rarely experience long periods of silence. Why? Because men can feel their energy on a different frequency. They sense that these women don't desperately need attention. They know that her world won't fall apart if they don't call, because she has a rich, vibrant life that extends far beyond the relationship. A man can feel when a woman has options, not just in other men, but in her own life, her passions, her friends, her purpose. He understands that she doesn't cling because she is already whole. This energy is magnetic. It's an attraction born not from need, but from fullness. The real battlefield of Stoicism isn't about conquering others. It's about conquering yourself. And when you achieve this, when you learn to turn inward for validation, peace, and happiness, the silence of others ceases to be a threat and becomes an opportunity. But let me be completely honest with you. Getting to this point is not an easy journey. It requires real, dedicated inner work. It requires you to bravely face your own insecurities, your deepest fears, and the emotional dependency patterns you've carried for years. It requires you to build an authentic, unwavering, and loving relationship with yourself. So many women ask me, but how do I just not care when he doesn't call? And I always tell them the same thing. The goal isn't to stop caring. The goal is to care more about your own inner peace than you do about his attention. The goal is to build a life so interesting, so rich, and so profoundly meaningful to you that his silence doesn't have the power to disturb it. It's about creating so many diverse pathways to joy, satisfaction, and connection that the absence of any single person cannot leave you broken. And here's what I want to share with you with so much excitement. When a woman truly achieves this, when she builds that deep inner resilience, it's not just her relationship with men that changes. Everything changes. Her relationship with her work, with her friends, with her family, and most importantly, with herself, is transformed. Because the inner power that allows you to stay centered is the very same power that enables you to negotiate better at work, set healthy boundaries with your family, and choose friendships that genuinely nourish your soul. Now that you understand the real reasons behind a man's silence, we arrive at the most important question of all. What are you going to do with this information? How will you apply it in your actual life? Because understanding is only the first step. Knowledge that isn't applied is just entertainment. True, lasting transformation only happens when you change your reaction and actively integrate these principles into your daily existence. So, here is my challenge to you. The next time you find yourself in that familiar state of panic because he hasn't called, I want you to do something different. Before you reach for your phone to send that casual text, before you allow your mind to weave a tapestry of negative stories, I want you to simply pause. Take a deep, grounding breath and ask yourself this powerful question. What do I need right now? Not what you need from him. What you, for yourself, truly need in this moment. Is it peace? Is it movement? Is it a heartfelt conversation with a friend? Is it dedicated time to focus on your project? Is it simply a quiet moment alone with a cup of tea? Then, I want you to give that to yourself. I want you to take the responsibility for meeting your own needs off of his shoulders and place it firmly back into your own capable hands. Because that is where the magic begins. When you start to truly show up for yourself, to give yourself the attention and value you seek from others, and to treat yourself with the dignity you deserve, you will automatically and effortlessly begin to attract people into your life who treat you the same way. His silence is not a command that forces you to chase him. It is a sacred opportunity given to you to reclaim yourself. When he doesn't call and you remain centered, when he doesn't answer and you continue to focus on your life, when he disappears and you refuse to disappear from your own existence, that is when you are building something that no one can ever take away from you, your own personal power. And there's something I want you to understand on the deepest level. This power isn't just a tool to attract men more easily. This power is about living a better, more beautiful life. It's about being able to sleep peacefully at night and wake up with a genuine sense of excitement for your day. It's about making decisions from a place of clarity and self-worth, not from a place of fear. Because, look, it's one thing to mentally understand that you shouldn't chase a man who isn't calling you. It's a completely different and more profound thing to feel that truth in your bones. It's to feel, with every fiber of your being, that you truly deserve someone who makes a consistent effort for you, who communicates with you, and who never leaves you tortured with uncertainty about his intentions. The common thread I've noticed in all the women who have achieved this transformation is this: they no longer tolerate the behaviors they used to excuse. They stop making justifications for men who don't make them a priority. They are no longer willing to settle for crumbs of attention because they know, without a doubt, that they deserve a place at the full banquet table. And do you know what the most liberating part of all this is? When you stop chasing the one who isn't calling you, you finally create the space for the one who will. When you stop pouring your precious energy into one-sided relationships, that energy stays with you, and you can use it to build something even better for yourself. I've received messages from women who have applied these principles, and they often say things like, "I can't believe how much silence I used to tolerate. Why was I so desperate for an answer from someone who was clearly not interested? Why was my self-esteem so tangled up in a man's attention?" This is the real transformation. It's not just your reaction to silence that changes. What you are willing to accept changes. Your standards change. Your relationship with yourself changes. And here is the truth I want you to carve into your heart. The woman who stands tall, who doesn't beg, who refuses to give up on herself, who never loses herself in another person, that is the woman no man ever forgets. What makes her unforgettable isn't that she's hard to get. It's that she is irreplaceable. And why is she irreplaceable? Because she's not playing a role she memorized from a book. She is moving through the world as her most authentic self. She is living from her own truth, with her own power, from her own center. That kind of authenticity cannot be imitated or copied. It cannot be replaced. It is the beautiful, hard, one product of years of inner work, self-discovery, and learning to know her own value without needing anyone else to validate it. When a woman knows her worth, when she doesn't scramble for attention, when she can be genuinely happy on her own, she radiates an energy that is born not from manipulation, but from integrity. I want you to know that not all women arrive at this point at the same time. Some of us have to walk through more fire to get here. Some are blessed with this awareness from the beginning. Both paths are valid. What matters is not how long it takes, but the unwavering clarity of your intention to get there. It's about making daily choices that bring you a little closer to becoming that woman who stands strong in her center. A woman who doesn't beg for love, but knows she is worthy of it. His silence could be a test, a distraction, a sign of his own inner conflict, or simply a reflection of his disinterest. But in the end, it's your response to that silence that defines who you are. Does your response empower you, or does it diminish you? The answer lies within you. I have seen it over and over again. The women who learn to see challenges as opportunities for growth, who treat obstacles as lessons, and who alchemize their pain into power, they become unstoppable, not just in love, but in every single area of their lives. The skills you develop while learning to stay centered in the face of silence are the exact same skills that lead to success everywhere. Emotional resilience, the ability to not take things personally, and the focus to stay true to your goals, no matter the distractions. So, the next time he doesn't call, instead of asking, "What did I do wrong?" I want you to ask, "What can I do right for myself right now?" Instead of waiting for him, meet with yourself. Instead of chasing him, build a life so compelling that he would feel lucky to be a part of it, not out of his need, but out of his genuine admiration for you. Instead of asking, "Why isn't he writing to me?" ask, "What can I create today?" Instead of obsessively checking your phone, check your to-do list. Instead of analyzing his last words, analyze your next moves. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't to decode the mystery of male silence. The goal is to build an inner world so strong, so rich, and so complete that the silence of others doesn't have the power to shake it. The goal is to fill your life with so much meaning, passion, and joy that the absence of any one person could never leave you feeling empty. The goal is to become so whole in yourself that anyone who enters your life is a beautiful bonus, not a desperate necessity. This doesn't mean you become cold or closed off to love. On the contrary, it means you can finally experience love from a place of inner fullness, not from a place of lack. It means you can share the most beautiful parts of yourself freely, not because you expect something in return, but because you have so much to give. And when you achieve this, when you truly embody this way of being, you will realize that the power was within you all along. You just had to remember it. You just had to reclaim it. You just had to finally accept that you are worthy of being loved the way you deserve to be loved by someone who chooses you, not by someone you have to convince. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these ideas resonated with you the most? Have you seen these dynamics play out in your own life? Share your story in the comments, because your experience has the power to help another woman who is walking this same path right now. Don't be afraid to be honest. Every single one of us has been there. Every woman has felt her power slip away at some point. The only thing that separates us is the decision to take it back. Remember, you did not come into this world to be someone's option. You came here to be your own priority. You came here not to beg for love, but to shine with a light of self. Love so bright that the people who truly value you can't help but be drawn to it. Your power is not in his hands, it's in yours. Use it wisely. If this has offered you a new perspective, if it has given you even one tool to protect your personal power, please like and share it with a friend who needs to hear this message. Because together, we are always stronger.